So, ladies and gentlemen, with the unfortunate, illegal, unconstitutional, unlawful 5-4 decision between, the Supreme Court and the Trump administration's illegal, unconstitutional, unlawful enactation of the deportation of the Alien Enemies Act. The Supreme Court, the DOJ, decided to illegally put an appeal or a request, or a motion, if you will, to toss out the Alien Enemies Act deportation case. Unconstitutionally and illegally, citing the 5-4 decision by the Supreme Court. What all does the reporting detail? Well, let's just take a look at the recent reporting that just came out from MSNBC. The article, ladies and gentlemen, is titled, Trump Officials Cite High Court's Deportation Ruling in Bid to Avoid Contempt Proceedings. And ladies and gentlemen, the article reads and begins with, the Supreme Court 5-4 ruling in the Alien Enemies Act case raises open questions about how it will affect the Trump administration's efforts and the ability of targets of those efforts to fight back in court. But another question is what, if anything, it means for the technically separate litigation over whether officials violated U.S. District Judge James Boasberg's orders in this case. The court filing to Boasberg, Boasberg, after Monday night's Supreme Court ruling, Justice Department lawyers told him that they think the ruling eliminates the basis for for this court's order to show the case, referring to Boasberg's, Boasberg, apostrophe S, for order for the government to explain why it hadn't violated his temporary restraining orders. At a hearing last week, DOJ lawyer Drew Einstein had a hard time giving the chief federal judge in Washington, D.C. satisfactory answers about the government's conduct in failing to return alleged Venezuelan gang members to the U.S. from flights to El Salvador last month. The judge said he would issue a ruling on the compliance matter and possible contempt proceedings. That rulings could still come anytime because it is a separate issue from what the Supreme Court just ruled on. But as a general matter, the fact that a court order is later overturned doesn't mean that a party to the litigation was allowed to violate the order. The High Court majority vacated Boasberg's Boasberg apostrophe S restraining orders and said that DC is the wrong court to venue because the detainees aren't confined there and that the plaintiff's claims must be brought through a different, more legally restrictive mechanism called habeas corpus. Habeas corpus. HABEAS. But as a general matter, the fact that a court order is later overturned doesn't mean that a party to the litigation was allowed to violate the order. Boasberg's Boasberg previously pointed this out when he rejected the government's argument that he should pause his orders because the DOJ was appealing them. He said he was seeking information to determine whether the government complied with his orders, and noted that whether the the orders are legally defective or legally sound does not govern the compliance inquiry. Boasberg, cited the Supreme Court precedent that he said makes it crystal clear that the proper recourse, Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize about that. Let's get back into it. That the proper recourse for a party subject to an injunction it believes is legally flawed and is indeed later shown to be so flawed is appellate review, not disobedience. We've now had emergency appellate review, but the obedience question is unresolved. Will it vanish along with Boasberg's Boasberg apostrophe S orders themselves? The Supreme Court could wind up addressing the question too, but whether it proceeds on that course will depend on what Boasberg does next. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for today's short legal breaking reporting. If you did enjoy this legal breaking reporting, please consider giving it a like, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. As always, if you never want to miss a brand new legal breaking reporting that I post onto the channel, please hit the bell icon that is right next to the subscribe button directly below the screen here on the right hand side of the screen. And clicking the all notifications option instead of the personalized notifications option. Another way you guys can stay up to date and make sure that you never miss a brand new legal breaking reporting, ladies and gentlemen, is by following me on my social medias that I will have linked down below, along with a very important vital news article reporting by MSNBC. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, please help me reach and achieve the goal of 150 plus subscribers. The reason why I'm saying 150 plus subscribers is because right after we reach and achieve the goal of 150 subscribers, we have more subscribers to achieve and reach. Right after we reach and achieve 150 subscribers. Until my next reporting, ladies and gentlemen, please stay positive, please stay safe, and I would say to stay positive and stay safe and look for the points of light in the world today, despite Donald Trump's illegal activity and illegal orders, unconstitutional orders, if that. But still, please stay safe, please stay positive, and always look for the points of light, despite the induced darkness that we are currently in, despite this complete, utter BS from Donald Trump and his illegal administration. Who did he threaten to sanction at the Supreme Court? It's who I want to know. Because this BS that Donald Trump is doing is blatantly illegal, and he needs to watch his back before something happens. I would hate to be him. Ladies and gentlemen, stay positive, stay safe, and I will talk to you guys in the next legal breaking reporting.